take more positives or negatives out of yesterday?
Yeah, I'm still undecided, to be honest. Yeah, look, I mean, it's difficult because we want to continue to move forward, and then you sort of hit with a couple of weeks like that, and you wonder yourself, you know. So you got to. I mean, I defer a lot to Todd and Jade, who have been around here for a while. As I said, you don't want to keep looking back. So, yeah, from a positive point of view, 5 minutes in the last quarter, you're 1 point up. From a negative point of view, you know, you lose by 30 something. So, obviously, a lot of the review was on the last sort of 25, 26 minutes about what happens then, because the game does go for 120 minutes. As much as I would have loved the siren to go, about the 1 minute mark, it was always going to go for another 29 minutes. So that seems to be something we really need to address, and it's been a bit of a pattern. So we've really got to focus on that period more so than the positive side of it, I guess. So I think there was positives, but we're probably more focusing on what went wrong rather than what went right.
Sounds like you got the answers though. That you're looking forward to.
Yeah, look, absolutely. I'm clear in my mind, you know, where we've got to get to and how we've got to get there. And it's just, you know, continually working together with the players and making sure they're as clear as what the coaching staff are. And, you know, that's a work in progress, obviously. You know, we're working together as a group, and, you know, we've got to take responsibility. Are we teaching them the right way, aren't we? So that's something we look at as a coaching group. Should they be further advanced? Shouldn't they be? So we're assessing our own performance, you know, on a daily basis, but we certainly are clear on how we want to get there. There's no question about that.
Ball in done, pretty good down the forward line. You're going to stick with that again against the Blues, you reckon?
Yeah, look, we did look at a different side with them down there. There's no doubt about that. You know, at least we were able to go forward with a little bit of certainty and some size and some strength down there. And so certainly that was an experiment that we thought worked. So I would suggest we'd probably continue with that.
The game was really great. How did you rate this game and busy on things obviously?
Oh, it was based on Dean and I had a bit of a discussion when he was on the bench about making sure we kick it long to the rucks and the centre half back, and then he kicked it short to Fitzy and they kicked the goal. So again, they're just reminders. Sometimes you're a bit stronger than other times, but given I had a direct discussion with him, I just thought he didn't hear me quite loud enough, so I had to say it a little bit louder. So look, they're probably the frustrating things, but again, I have to get better with my, you know, maybe I'm not getting the message across, and yeah, because we're clearly doing some things wrong, we're doing some things right, but as I said, we want to focus on, you know, the things we're doing wrong so we can correct them and make sure we continue to get better. Yeah, look, I must have said Turles has been really good. You know, he probably had a bad sort of quarter on the weekend, but certainly I've been really pleased. He's been really embraced, because I think he knew what we expected. So when I arrived, he was probably one of the first ones to jump on board. And up until the weekend when he made a couple of blues, he's been pretty, very, very good over the first sort of 5 or 6 weeks. Yeah.
So do you have any regrets going that strong, or sometimes that's just what has to happen to get the message across?
No, I think, look, he's okay. I haven't spoken to him today. I think he'll talk to me again. But no, it was more, as I said, look, again, it's their arousal levels and it's how you get the message across. A lot of times you want to stay composed and calm, and I had that quiet discussion with him on the bench, and then you got to give him a bit of a reminder, in a more ferocious sense. Is it right or wrong? You just, again, we're learning all the time, and we're trying to work with the players how they best learn. Some guys learn much better, when you are quiet. Some guys learn much better when you yell and scream. But certainly that was an isolated incident with Turles. I don't think he'll, he probably heard me the second time. I'm sure he heard me the first time. He probably heard me louder the second time.
Coping with the either inability or willingness of players to do what you try to get them to do?
Yeah, that was a big part of the discussion today, and I guess you draw on the other coaches and draw on and you look back on teams like Hawthorn and like Geelong, and you try and because clearly we're a long way off them now, but at some point they were exactly the same stage as what we were. So you're really looking back and sort of saying, well, what were the things that they did that made some big change? And it happens over a course of time. It doesn't happen overnight. So part of it is the Frawley Dunn scenario. The Howe back to half back flank, which we thought is a lot better than the first 2 weeks. So that we won't change the game plan, but you change the personnel, and I think that's what good teams do. I think that's what Clarko did. That's what Bomber Thompson did. I spoke to him last week after the show. That's what he did with Geelong. You got to cop some wax, but I think the biggest thing we've got to do as a group is be clear on we're not going to change the game plan. You change the personnel within the game plan because that's not going to change because we're really going to be strong on that, and that's what Alistair did, and that's what Bomber did, and that's how the good teams become good teams over a period of time and have sustained success.
So you sought Bob and Thompson out, did you, after the AFL 360? Just
Oh no, we chat every week, and I did actually ask him. I said, I remember how you went about it, and we spoke briefly about that. I mean, all the coaches get on pretty well, despite the fact that we're all, pretty fierce competitors. So it was good just to bounce some things off him also.
Playing Carlton this week, clearly they're a team low on confidence. Do you see that as an opportunity for you guys, or on the flip side, do you expect the team's going to come out pretty strong?
Well, I think every game we've got to look at as an opportunity, but more from our point of view, not from Carlton's point of view, or where any other team's at in their development. Every game we've got a chance to shape our game style. We've got a chance to play personnel. We've got a chance to teach our players. It's clearly very, very frustrating, but I knew exactly what it was going to be like when I signed up, and so every single game's an opportunity. That's the way I look at it. Because ultimately to get to where Geelong and Hawthorn have got to, where their starting point was, and why they're such a good competitive team now, because they set the foundations, 8, 9, 10 years ago. So that's the phase that we're in, and that's what I've got to be really clear on, what we're doing with the players and working with the players. So, look, every game I see as an opportunity. That doesn't mean that you're playing them in a better time or a worse time, or venues, or where they're on the ladder. It's simply we've got to adhere to what we want to do and try and do that better this week than we did last week.
From Casey's win or from the injury list, can you pluck anyone out of that to inject into your side for the Carlton game?
Sorry, please.
From Casey's win or from the injury list, who would you look at?
Well, now I guess once we've done the review of our game, you can then review the Casey game, and I'll watch that probably tomorrow sometime. But again, the standards have got to start in the seconds, and I think that's another discussion we had today. I'm not going to promote anyone just because they got 30 possessions or 25 possessions or 28 possessions. I think, again, the standards that are set at the good clubs are set from below. We'll play guys that we think can play the role in the seniors that they were able to play in the second. So that's going to be a big part of the discussion with Brad Miller, who was at the game, and when I watched the game. So that's where it's got to start at this footy club, from a personnel and the coaches are working together with the players.
Is Mark Jones still who played yesterday?
Yeah.
Is he still
Yeah, I think a couple of weeks ago away, he only played like 70 or 80 minutes, and obviously rucking off the ground forward. So I'd say he's a couple of weeks away.
How big a shake-up on another 200 days do you think on this event?
Look, it's hard to tell, it really is, because we're sort of seeing some improvement from some of the, Rowan Bale, I thought was pretty good on the weekend. Matty Jones continues to show some improvement. So some of the guys that maybe are on the cusp a little bit, Dean Turlick I think has been really good, as I said. So look, I think probably the first half of the year is a really good chance for us to have a good look at it, and then halfway through the year we'll have a much better idea. Once we're really clear with the players, and they understand what we're trying to teach them, that this is what we absolutely want and these are the non-negotiables. So I think once we get to the halfway mark we'll have a much better idea.
Jack Trengro, were you happy with the way he responded?
Yeah, look, I actually haven't, as I said, haven't seen the game, so I'll talk to Brad about that. Look, I think we want him to go back and enjoy his footy. It's been such a burden on Jack for a long period of time, and the discussion I caught up with him last week and we had a really good chat. He's got a really good feel for where he's at, where his game's at. And part of it was just relax, just enjoy it. Obviously being here at the footy club's been tough. He's just got to go back and enjoy his footy, and I think he at least did that. He was really, he embraced it when I finally spoke to him and told him. He was actually quite excited about, just getting back and running around like he was, as a kid. And from all reports, I think he played pretty well, but I'll need to get a more detailed report.
In report.
Look, I must admit, I've sort of, my conversation with Mitch have been more along text message and, hope you're going okay, mate, we're here to support you and all those sorts of things. I really haven't got too involved, with all the other side of it. I'm just making sure I'm talking to the doctors every now and then, making sure, how's he going? No, he's going okay, etc., etc. So the stuff you know, in terms of the club and management and Mitch, you know, I think there's a meeting sometime this week, but I really haven't, you know, got too involved in that at all.
Do you fear he might say he wants to walk away?
Look, again, not having spoken to Mitch, you know, and just trying to support him, I wouldn't be educated enough to give it a proper answer to that. Our concern is for him and his health and making sure, you know, that's getting better. If that involves football, fantastic. If it doesn't, you know, well, I think I'm supportive of that as well.